This is the only digital research channel in India producing the documentary ethnographic films on the endangered human populations and ethnic cultures of India. So subscribe this channel to know more about the endangered human population and ethnic cultures of India on every weekend. Gadaba, a particularly vulnerable tribe inhabiting in Andhra Pradesh, mainly they are inhabiting in the districts of Vizianagaram, Vishakhapatnam and Srikakulam districts. In Vizianagaram district, majority of the Gadaba population is concentrated in Pachipenta and Salur mandals. In Srikakulam district, the Gadabas settlements are found in almost all the mandals. In the Vishakhapatnam district, Gadaba population is found in Anantagiri, Araku Valley, Chintapalli, GK Vidu, Hukumpeta, Koyuru, Munchinipattu and Panderu mandals. The Gadabas are inhabiting interior forest regions. It takes nearly 3 hours 40 minutes to reach settlements from Vishakhapatnam city. The road which leads to the Eastern Ghats where they are inhabiting is very narrow. You can see is a thick forest occupied by the Naxalites. Gadabas are considered as one of the early settlers of our country and trace their origin to the time of Ramayana. It is believed that their ancestors immigrated from the banks of river Godavari and settled in Nandapur, the former capital of the King Jaipur of present Koraput district in Orissa. It is also said that the Gadabas migrated from the Godavari valley to the settle eventually in Gadabanda Pada, a village in Lamtaput block in Koraput, wherefrom they again migrated to different places in search of land. The name Gadaba seems to have been derived from the word Gada, which means name of a brook in the region. Later on, dislocation of tribal population, the Gadabas might have migrated to Vishakhapatnam region and then Koraput. According to Ayyappan, the Gadaba have 6 subdivisions. They are Bodo or Gutop Gadaba, Oloro Gadaba or Olar Gadaba, Parangi Gadaba, Kalyu Gadaba, Kapu Gadaba, Katri or Katara Gadaba. In Vizianagaram district, there are 4 major social divisions among Gadaba and they are listed in social hierarchical order as follows: Katari Gadaba, Tum Gadaba, Parangi or Goli Gadaba and Olari Gadaba. Kapu Gadabas are mostly found in the plain areas of Srikakulam district and subsist on settled agriculture and employment. The Gadabas are broadly divided into 2 linguistic groups. The Gadaba who derive their name from a Dravidian language and the Gutob who derive their name from Austric language. The Gadabas of Odisha speak in Gutob at home. Gadabas speak their own dialect and this dialect is included in Munda linguistic family. Gadabas in Vizianagaram district mainly distributed on the base of the people who speak Gutob. The present ethnographic film on Gutob Gadaba was conducted in Vizianagaram district because the Gutob Gadabas are more concentrated in Vizianagaram district. Thurston and Rangachari divided the tribe into 5 sectors, that is Bodo or Gutob Gadaba, Parangi Gadaba, Olar Gadaba, Katari Gadaba or Katara Gadaba and Kapu Gadaba. According to them, the last section which were found to them to be settled in the plains originally belonged to Bodo Gutub sections. Gadabas in Vizianagaram district mainly distinguished on the basis of the people who speak Gutob, Adivasi Oriya and the regional language of Telugu. The present generation among the Gadabas are very fluent in Telugu language rather than in their own dialect. The Gadaba people who speak exclusively in their own dialect still are treated as separate group and refer them as Golu Gadabas. The Bodu Gadabas are concentrated in Malkangiri area and in the borders of Visakhapatnam district. They speak Adivasi Oriya and live in the extreme backward conditions. Ethnographic film documentation on Bodo Gadaba. The observations based on the primary and secondary source data shows that a number of endogamous subdivisions which are endogamous in nature. Over a period of time, these subdivisions losing their cultural identity and claiming the status of Bodo Gadaba. So, if you look into these aspects, the other subdivisions except Bodo Gadaba doesn't have any census figures. The Gutob Gadaba doesn't have census figures since 1961 as though it has been listed as particularly vulnerable tribe. All these subdivisions claiming their constitutional status as particularly vulnerable tribe under Bodo Gadaba. There is a great confusion in identifying and also to look into these aspects of subdivisions, who is who. So there is an urgent need to look into the aspects of what is happening to these particularly vulnerable tribal groups. Now let us go and have the vision of the particularly vulnerable group of Bodo Gadaba and let us decide what we have to do in the future. Was conducted in the district of Visakhapatnam because Bodo Gadaba is more concentrated in Visakhapatnam district. Marital relations do not exist in between the subgroups. Commensal relations exist. Social hierarchy is also found among these subgroups. The Gadaba settlements are unique in their way of construction and shape. One can able to identify from a long distance that the settlement is Gadabas because the conical shape of the house with the thatched huts and beautifully located places. The Gadabas establish their village in the lap of nature, always surrounded by green patches and structures long on a hillside. One can find many jackfruits, mango trees, tamarind trees, banyan trees, etc. around the village. Gadaba houses consist of two or more huts, one of the parents and the other is for the married sons. They also construct a shed for domestic animal outside their residence. Each house follows a homogeneous pattern. The walls are made of mud or stone with a number of wooden pillars supporting the roof, which is thatched with forest grass or paddy straw. Recently they are constructing the roofs with the tiles. Typically most of the houses do not have windows. You can observe here the unique way of construction of the house. The low roof with small walls, the big house, and the small house is for the cattle. You can see here cattle herding. Every house is having a cattle shed and every house is a compound wall made with the wood. The Gadaba women keeps their houses very clean and neat. You can see here every week they used to clean the houses and apply the red mud mixed with cow dung. Here you can see how they are applying not only inside the house but also outside the house. They are applying and cleaning so that no fly, no insect will come inside the house. It is a unique characteristics that we find still among these Garba tribe cleaning of the house and maintaining the house with rangoli. You can see here the beautifully cleaned house. The thatched huts gives a cooling effect. The dress of both male and female is very simple. The term for cloth is called as lunga and a piece of cloth is grounda. The old men wearing dokra of traditional dress, that is loin cloth, which is called as gamsa, to cover the private parts, and the rest of the body is naked. And also tattoo marks are found on the hands, legs and the body. The younger generation, men wear western dress like pants called as jogi, t-shirts and shirts. The boy children, Pilla Mon, wear knickers, that is jongi, and shirts choka. Women wear traditional saris called Gotangala, or it is called as Bijigandi. 3 to 4 meters of sari which is tied first on best of the knee, and the remaining portion of the sari is taken onto a cover breast level, which is clutched by tying a knot on the left shoulder. The older generation women wear the saris without blouse. Both older men and younger women wear gamsa, which is similar to loin cloth they wear inside the sari. Garba women are fond of wearing number of ornaments made with brass or aluminium. Traditionally, the peasant jewelry fascinated the Garba women for its equivalent design. Women use different types of hairpins and wear earrings, nose rings, and finger rings. They use bangles which are made of brass, which are available local market or weekly shandies. Some of the commonly used ornaments of Garba community are hair clip, kosadang, big silver neck ring called as kagle, nose ring called as dandi, black necklace called as title, red necklace, bandara, long necklace made with gunguru, that is big gangara, etc. The food and drink habits are completely based on what they grow and harvest from their own lands. Rice is called as chawal and ragi gruel made out of finger millets or their staple food. The finger millets gruel is consumed 4 times a day whenever they feel hungry, which tastes sour, and the chawal rice is consumed once or twice a day. With the seasonally available green leafy vegetables called as saag, which includes kumudu saag, that is pumpkin leaves, or gori saag, that is called as goddu. People consume dal in rice, which are prepared out of different kinds of pulses grown by themselves. The delivery is conducted by a traditional doll called as Sutra Nimaji. The delivery is conducted in the living room of the respective pregnant mother's home. Delivery takes place in squatting position. The pregnant mother sits on a gunny bag in the squatting position and holds firmly a sari, which is dropped from the roof, especially for delivery purpose. After the baby is delivered and the placenta is out, then the umbilical cord is tied with turmeric smeared thread and cut using a new blade. They heat it and earth a means of sterilization. The placenta is disposed in the backyard of the house after collecting with the cow dung and buani wahili leaves. The tribe follows patriarchal system. The rule of residence is patrilineal and rule of residence is patrilocal. More number of nuclear families are found in the study villages, followed by supplemented nuclear families, and less number of families are joint and patrilocal extended families. Neolocal residence. There are few joint families also exist among them. The joint family generally consists of mother and father. The term for marriage is biba. They define it as a man and a woman who, like each other, will live in the house and produce children and inherit father's property. The marriages are clan and lineage exogamous, where monogamy is the rule but polygamy is also practiced. The tribe selects the partner of his her own wish and get married by the form of elopement or mutual consent or service or capture marriage. Mostly the elopement and capture marriages causes disturbances in both the families as it goes against the parents' wishes on making their sons or daughters marriage with the person whom they like. But these disturbances wane up when the newlywed man's family gives bride price, which is called as jolla, to the newlywed man's family. Divorce and remarriage is allowed in this community. When the divorce is initiated by a female, then she has to pay back the bride price to the bridegroom. The remarriage is allowed and second marriages also is allowed. 8 forms of marriage practices are observed in this tribe. They are: marriage by elopement is called Odilia Gale. Marriage by capture is called Jigianale. Marriage by mutual consent is called Magniale. Marriage by love is called as Istukore. Marriage by service is called as Goruvae. Marriage by second marriage is called as Sauta Bida. Widow remarriage is called as Randi Manos. Widow remarriage is called as Mundas Maos. Apart from Pidur Devatas, that is ancestral deities, the tribe worships different village deities located in their own respective villages. They are Karandi Devata, that is god of hunting. One of the days of the Itikala festival in April, the tribe offers prayers to the village deities. The prayers are intended to catch good number of animals during community hunting. The second one worshipped by them is Nisani Devata, that is god of protection from evil spirit. The third god worshipped by Guma Devata is god of village. The fourth god worshipped by them is Koti Devata, that is god of protection. The god is worshipped in the month of November, who seeks over the intrusion of the evils in the village. Then the next one is worshipped by them is Undi Devata, that is god of respect. Then the god worshipped by them is Kasur Devata, that is god of welfare. Then Puringi Devata, that is god of fortune. Then Purmari Devata, god of faith. So these gods are worshipped by the tribe periodically in their festival days. Nisani Devata ritual is performed under Jamkoli tree for the welfare of the village to avert the diseases and evils which causing due to heavy rains. Tamarind, minor millets, fruits, roots, leaves and other food materials collected from forest are eaten by them only after offering to the Pidur Devata on these festival days, and also offer prayers to Vandi Devata who protects livestock and crops from heavy rains. They believe in devils, evil spirits, and witchcraft. They are always found with the talisman either on the neck or on wrist of the hand or with pelvic thread, which they think are as safety nets against evil effects. They believe in 6 types of evil spirits, which they say that they might be staying in and around the village and hills. Those are Surgoli Dumma, Bag Dumma, Dongriya Dumma, Nag Dumma, Potta Dumma, and Merching Dumma. After good harvesting of paddy, the tribe offers Kallam Puja to the Mother Earth for giving them good yield, and it is worshipped by the entire clan members. All the clan members participates in this puja. Sometimes the entire village also participates. In this village which you are observing, that is a community participation in seedling, harvesting, and almost all the work done in the agricultural field. They not only given to the clan members a share from the yield, but also they give a feast on this puja day to all the village members who are assembled and helped them in harvesting and seedling. They also worship with the harvested paddy all the Panchabhutas, that is earth, sky, rain, water and air. Here you can see they are worshipping and offering the paddy to the Mother Earth, and lighting of the lamp, offering the liquor, and performing the puja to the god. It is really a worth seeing offering by the tribe to the goddess Earth and other Panchabhutas. Not only this tribe, but all the tribes inhabiting in Visakhapatnam agency areas performs this puja. After performing this puja, the paddy, they light the paddy with the fire. You can see the bonfire fired by the people, and that ends the puja of Kallam. Apart from the traditional tribal gods, they also worship Hindu gods such as Shiva, Vishnu, Ganesha, Parvati, Lakshmi and Saraswati. Once the Gadabas were food gatherers, hunters and Podu cultivators and horticulturists. Over a period of time, because of the influence of the modern legal activities, influenced them to become settled agriculturists. Most of them still follow Podu agriculture, and some of them have shifted settled agriculture. The important economic substance of economy is change in domestication of the animals, which you can observe here. The indigenous cows and bulls adopted by them and growing by themselves for doing agriculture. You can see most of the families now shifted their economy for milk collecting and milk selling. It became an important economic activity for the women to take care of the milch animals, collection of the milk and selling the milk, which earns a good amount of revenue for the family. For the family maintenance, for majority of the tribe depending on the cows milk selling. The agricultural land used by the tribe for cultivation can be divided into 4 different kinds of lands, such as Beda or lowlands. Besides the streams, only wet rice cultivation Garu or highland which is above the streams. Here they cultivate different ancient rice varieties like Samulu, Mundia, Koralu. The third variety of land is Dongar Bhumi or forest land. They cultivate oil plants, cashew, eucalyptus, coffee and pepper, mangoes and jackfruits. And the fourth one is Podu or home gardens, that is beans, turmeric, long pepper, butter poles, maize, pumpkins, charudumpa, greeny leafy vegetables, pumpkins, jatropha plants, mangoes and jackfruits are cultivated. They have adopted growing mixed crops like cereals, grains and pulses in the same field and harvest at different periods. And you can observe here they have grown maize, jowar, ragi, different millets, and also some of them grow ginger and turmeric in the same field and harvest in different periods of time, so that they can able to grow number of crops and also get good amount of food grains and commercial crops from this. Women play a significant role in contributing the family maintenance. Apart from participation in agricultural work and domestic affairs of the family, the women also work in harvesting, cleaning, storing of the food grains. It is the duty of the woman to husk, pounding and grinding of the food grains to prepare the food for the family. The tribe sells their surplus products to non-tribals and also in the weekly shandies, which you can observe here, different kinds of pulses are sold in the market. After selling their products to the merchants or local buyers, they used to purchase important things like tobacco, which you can observe here for their requirements, and dry fish is their major requirement for them for their consumption. They purchase new clothes like lungi, shirt, pants and different ready-made materials also, and the purchased clothes they get stitched in the weekly shandies itself. The same day they get stitched. They also buy different kinds of consumer articles like soap, tea, matchboxes and different varieties of snacks which you can see here. Apart from the steel and aluminum vessels, they still depend on the mud vessels which you can see here. They purchase the mud pots for their cooking purposes and also the bamboo baskets for their daily working in the fields, which is a unique characteristics among the tribes. Still they are using the mud vessels for their daily cooking and drinking purposes. Also purchase different kind of iron implements. Apart from the sweets and savories, they also like to purchase the grapes and different kind of fruits which are not grown by themselves in their forest regions. The tribe purchases new clothes in the shandy like saris, blouses, pants, shirts, ready-made garments for both male and female, which you can observe here in the weekly shandies. They like dark clothings for their wearing, and the same day they will get a stitch in the shandy itself. Women is the backbone of tribal society, not only contributing to the domestic works but also they contribute the family income and generation of economy for the substance of living. The substance of living of the tribals majorly depend on the women. You can observe here the women contribution to the economy in the way of horticulture. The women grow the vegetables of different kinds. You can observe here, I need not explain, by viewing itself you can appreciate the contribution of women in the tribal society. They grow tomato, cauliflower, cabbage, carrot, beetroot, leafy vegetables, different kind of beans, radish, and also they have the economic resources to develop and preserve for the future of the family. See the woman, she has grown the cauliflowers, one of the organic way of growing they know, and they will bring it to the weekly market and they sell it, and with that amount they purchase the essential commodities for the families and they maintain the family's economy. You can see here the sweet potatoes grown by them, which is a unique horticulture way they prepare their food materials and contribute not only in the way of selling for the money but also they practice the barter way of system still with some people. Here the green leaves purchasing and selling are worth seeing the Sunday markets. I really feel emotionally happy by seeing the tribal women, their contribution to the not only to the family economy but also to the needy society, providing the rich food. The entire Visakhapatnam agency and the part of the city of Visakhapatnam enjoys with the tribal fruits, vegetables and green leaves provided by them. If you visit to the early morning in the Visakhapatnam, some of the markets where the tribals exclusively sell their products in the city. This is the greatest contribution of the majority of the tribes inhabiting in the Visakhapatnam region. Some of the vegetables of unique, you can see the freshness, the mirchi, the beans, all organic products without any fertilizers or pesticides, they will grow in the fields. The tribe generate money by selling traditional liquor in the arte, that is in Shandy, to meet their daily needs. The liquor distillations are prepared in their homes for 6 varieties of products such as Prendo and Mod from Amot, that is tamarind liquor, Mundia finger millets liquor, Chow, that is rice liquor, Panos jackfruit liquor, mango liquor, Baliamji, that is cashew fruit liquor, and sap of Salop, that is Julugud Chettu, that is Crayota urines liquor. The moth is a liquid formed by boiling pendum and passing gaseous vapors into a closed vessel. A glass of moth or pendum, that is 200 ml, costs 10 rupees, which is sold in the village and in the Shandy. Majority of them women. It is a weekly once they used to prepare and they used to sell it in the weekly shandies, and the money they procure from this will be used for the daily needs such as for purchasing the essential commodities, salt, sugar, tea leaves, tobacco, matchbox, and other food items. Majority of the women, especially the senior ladies, used to sell the liquor. You can see here different kinds of liquor are sold in the shandies and also in the villages. They won't purchase the liquors from the outside market. It is a traditional liquor from generations they are preparing from different ways and different methods. Of course, nobody can interfere in the personal affairs of preparation of the liquor. Most of them consume their own liquor in their own homemade. That is why they are very healthy and also happily they are living, which you can see here how much liquor they are preparing for themselves. And rice beer is one of the important liquor which is consumed by them in the villages. Among the 6 varieties of liquor produced by them, the panos, that is jackfruit liquor, the mango liquor, Bolivia munji, that is cashew nut fruit liquor, are the tastiest ones among them. Among the liquors, the cashew fruit liquor is very expensive, followed by jackfruit liquor and finger millet liquor, which are considered to be the superior quality among other liquors. Apart from the indigenous liquor prepared by them in their houses, they also depend on Jilga Kallu, that is Crayota palm sap, and Eurasian Crayoma sap, that is called as locally as Landa. Each family they used to have 1 or 2 trees. In the olden days they used to have 4 or 5 trees which will be used for collecting the palm sap, and they sell it in the local market. Each farm sap gives a good amount of revenue for the family. Those who are having 2-3 palm sap trees is sufficient for their family maintenance. So, most of them used to maintain 1 or 2 plants in their agricultural lands. See, I have the taste like beer, which is indigenous liquor consuming by themselves. It is expensive in their own way of consuming the liquor apart from that indigenously made beer, rice beer and other liquors. The tribe have their own political system ruled by the headman of the village called Naidu. The eldest son is the successor of the village headmanship. If not, younger son comes into role. The son succeeds the position of this father in the village. In case of father, the headman dies or become old. The village headmanship is through hereditary, passing down through generations on the basis of patrilineal system of inheritance. The village members consider him as the first member of the society. The people give much respect to their village headman, follow his advices. Every village has 2 secular leaders in which the village headman, Taidu, and takes the leadership by descent, and the other is called a chalan, that is advisor, which is changing from time to time, and all the family members are the members of this political system. Based on the observations, scholars and the field studies has been classified Gadaba tribe into 5 subdivisions. They are Bodo Gadaba or Gudop Gadaba, Parangi Gadaba, Volar Gadaba, Katari Gadaba or Katara Gadaba and Kapu Gadaba. All the 5 are endogamous groups. Observations shows that the last 2 endogamous groups, Katari Gadaba and Katu Gadaba, who are settled in the plains, originally belonged to Gudop Gadaba, which has been listed separately as particularly vulnerable tribal groups in the constitutional status. Professor V. Subramaniam in his study mentions that the Gadaba who have settled in the plains seem to have forgotten the names of their septs. But even today they do not kill the cobra or as it represents one of their septs. The subdivisions Katara and Parenga have the Intiperlu, that is surnames as Duvuri, Burli, Palle, Edla, Allu, Pilli, Tota and Garli. These subnames are also they are forgetting over a period of time. Based on the scholars' observations and previous studies, there is a need to identify these subdivisions with the help of anthropologists. To enumeration, geographical identification and detailed ethnography on each subdivision is necessary and it should be prepared. Otherwise, the subdivisions lose their cultural identity. Already assimilation has started. Slowly they are forgetting the names of their clans, subgroups, names and claiming as Bodo Gadaba. If it continues, we will be losing the cultural and biological identity of these endangered human populations who are very important for us.